Unreal Tournament, GTA 4 mods, GOG now with Linux. This is WSGF News.
We have a special guest. I'm Chris, also known as Peanut.
I'm Simon, the Destroyer.
And I am Skip Clark, the guy behind the curtain.
Yay!
Woo. Boss man's here, so we have to behave.
I am. I'm glad to be here. I want to thank both Simon and Chris for doing this and keeping it running. This will be episode 18.
Something like that. Yeah.
So it's like we're legal.
We're legal now.
We're legal.
Finally made it.
So I thought I would show up.
Hey there.
And say, hey, we're
Be
legal.
the adult on supervision.
Exactly. So thank you for having me.
No, thanks for coming by.
So this screenshot.
So yeah, we're gonna start out with some. First of all, before we start out with anything, we need to make a correction. We talked about Doom last week.
That's right.
And I mentioned that John Carmack had nothing to do with this newest Doom. Well, there was a user on the YouTube who corrected me. I did an annotation about where Skip's head would be, correcting that. But if you didn't see that annotation, turns out John Carmack actually did work on id Tech 6, which is the engine for Doom. So
he did have some involvement.
He has some involvement,
right.
Maybe not directly with the actual game, but he was involved definitely with the engine. So sorry about that. We corrected it, and we're just going to move on. So moving on, talking about engines and games, Unreal Tournament, the newest Unreal Tournament.
Yeah,
there's a screenshot.
The screenshot is crazy. It's super duper.
It's of,
it looks amazing.
I guess a map spaceship called Leandri.
Yeah, which I believe, if my Unreal knowledge is still good, I think that's an old Unreal map, but I could be wrong about that. I think that's one of the maps on Unreal, and it looks like real life. I mean,
I know,
it's pretty amazing. The shadows, the lighting, the curvatures. I mean, it's.
Like I was telling y'all before we started recording, I opened up the tab, then I had to run down, let the dog in, come back up, and I was like, wait, what movie set is this from?
Yeah,
I realized
it does kind of look like a Star
Unreal
Wars
Tournament.
movie set, like maybe Star Wars 7 movie set or something, but no, it's actually video games.
I mean, and whatever they've done, it's not overdone. It looks natural. The lighting, the shadows.
Yeah.
It looks like something somebody built rather than in real life, rather than something that somebody created for a game.
Now this is from a live stream they did recently, and they were showing off some concept art. They were talking with some of the people. They were doing a fly-through with the Unreal Engine. This is from the engine, so it's not like a concept art from what I've read. It's actual
the real thing
footage,
right?
As of now,
so
exciting.
We've talked about this before. Like Unreal is, they're basically stepping into. The engine itself is going to be free, right? So we're going to have free to play, and we're going to be able to play the games for free,
which is nice.
Well, yeah, it's cool, but it's also going to they're going to sell mods and other additions to the game,
and they're going to be selling the engine to other companies like they've been doing before,
right? And I think it's going to kind of provide an avenue, like we talked about last week about Dota providing that community-based environment to sell the marketplace. I think Unreal's going to kind of do the same thing too.
Yeah, I mean it's going to have that Steam Workshop kind of background to it.
Yeah.
So really exciting with this, and it's really exciting just to look at this screenshot to see where it's going. I mean,
do you know what would make this even more exciting?
What?
If it was actually horizontal plus this time.
Yes.
If we can get an engine that won't be vert minus and chop off everybody's field of vision out of the box, that would be awesome. But if that doesn't happen, I'm sure maybe one of our entrepreneurial modders, Hayden Halifax or somebody, can sell a mod, make a lot of money.
Yeah, and then maybe they could get some money off it too because it could go in the marketplace. Right. So we were talking a little bit about Unreal Tournament and mods for the game. Something kind of related. There's been a mod 3.0 revision published for GTA 4 called iCEnhancer. I believe that's the correct
iCEnhancer, something.
Something similar to that.
And this is a big mod. A lot of people know about this. If you're a PC gamer, definitely, and you play GTA 4, it's beautiful.
Right,
it's a
and PC,
beautiful mod.
PC doesn't have GTA 5 right now.
Correct.
So this would be, most PC gamers who play GTA are still on 4, and this is pretty much what they're playing.
And I think this mod makes it a lot better looking than
it is
GTA 5. It's
well,
beautiful, and it's made by a guy named Hassam Kalani.
Yes, and we will have the video in the description below this video for the YouTube, so you can watch and see like the graphical mod,
and which will also include some links if you're interested in the mod itself.
Yes,
but one big issue that's happened with this is a lot of the I guess communities, with any sort of thing where you're giving it for free, people are going to have their own opinions, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people over the course of years he's been working on this have called him out like, oh, I think you should do this, or I think you should do this. And he's finally said, enough's enough. 3.0, I'm not doing anymore, and y'all win. I'm going to have it up for a little bit, and it may disappear.
Yeah, he put a long rant on Facebook, which is kind of unfortunate.
Which, when you say grab it, you better grab it now.
Yeah, so we'll have a link where you can download it as well. I hope that everybody can provide like positive feedback to this developer, because making your own content is a lot of hard work,
especially on your own time. There's a donation, I believe, but I mean, all this was just like, I feel like doing this. I want this to look like this,
right?
So I'm going to do it.
I mean, it's somebody who does it for the love of the work.
Yes.
And you know a lot about that. I mean,
I do. So we were talking about this, while we were prepping. We celebrated our 10th anniversary of the WSGF last year. We're almost at 11 years, which is like, I don't know, 120 internet years or something. It's like there should be like an equivalent of dog years to net years. But we've been really lucky that we haven't had a lot of naysayers. Yeah. I mean, the community, the people that I got in early that helped set the tone, it was a lot of good people, a lot of people who would give. And one thing I love when you use the word community, that has a certain connotation. I would say the people that are naysaying him or being demanding, they're not a community, they're consumers. They want something, but they're not contributing, they're not helping.
Right. They're not offering anything in return.
Right. And we've been lucky that we've had a very big community that has pitched in and helped. And over the years, you would have somebody that would say, well, I think you should do this, or I think you should do that. And, in 10 years, there may be one or two people who were snarky or a jerk about it. But by and large, people would have constructive comments, would offer on how to help, or would say up front, I really have no idea how to do this. But if any of you do, I think this would be a good idea.
Yeah.
And luckily, that positive community, and again, that's for me a very specific and unique word based on having built the WSGF. We had people who would pick up the mantle, pick up the torch, do whatever. And I'm the only one that's around 11 years almost. It's forever to do something in internet time. But people have their seasons. They come, they go. People bring their skill sets. And we've had a great response of people wanting to help him build. And so, I mean, part of me says my heart goes out to him because he's been giving of himself to this mod and this community, and people haven't been supporting him, at least, in their words and in their deeds.
The vocal minority, I'm sure, is being harsh. And
that's the problem with trolls, is that they become a very vocal minority, and there's probably a lot of people who appreciate his work and maybe even donate to his cause. Some of the people on our site, Hayden, Halifax, those folks who... Widescreen Fixer, Flawless Widescreen, they accept donations for that work. And luckily, people are also very affirming for what they do.
Yes.
Well, and that goes a long way.
It's also, you think about, when was the last time you emailed like a game company and said, I really like this work, thanks. Well, I guess we do it kind of. But like the average person, like, hey, thanks for doing this. Thanks for working on this. I really like this. Versus someone who is going to just like, no, dumb,
if you
Twitter
want to shock
blast.
somebody, next time you're at retail or a grocery market or a restaurant, go up and tell the manager how great your service was.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, I do IT work for a living, and how when everything is working well, no one says anything.
Right. Yeah.
And how when everything is broken is when everyone's screaming.
I did IT work. I did call center work for about 2 years for one of the major companies that produces computers. Took dozens of phone calls a day for 2 years, every day. And in 2 years, I got one person that called up and said, this is a great product.
Yeah. So it's really unfortunate that this great mod has been overshadowed by all of the negative feedback that it's gotten, and that it's driven the developer to take a little bit of a hiatus, maybe a permanent hiatus. We don't really know. But I suggest all of you who are interested in Grand Theft Auto, go download the mod, check it out, install it. And if you like it, send some feedback to the guy, donate to him, tell him he's done a great job, tell him you want to see more, because I think that's what, as a community, we need more of that.
Yeah.
Right.
We need more positive feedback.
There's positive vibes, man.
Yeah.
Well, it goes a long way.
It does, definitely.
So we all know we have like a fascination with Linux right now, especially with the booming of the Steam OS and all other supporting of Linux. Recently, actually this past week, GOG.com, which used to be Good Old Games, now GOG, released on their site games that support Linux. So they're now supporting Linux with GOG.
Awesome.
And they rolled out with
Indeed.
50 games just out of the box that it's like, hey, look, these all support Linux. So now it's like true multi-platform, Mac, PC, and Linux. Super, super excited.
I don't even use Linux, and I'm excited.
You talked about it in your AMD thing, like, maybe not, but I really think Linux is going to happen.
I think, there's this continual push, whether it's Steam, obviously was a huge one, just to have Linux compatible games, and then the Steam OS, and then you get the graphics card companies, and then you get the engines, and then you're getting, I love GOG even from when it was just Good Old Games, because I'm old enough to have played those good old games.
Yeah.
Cool.
So super exciting.
Yeah, so one of the interesting things about that is that during that Linux promotion, they actually had a mistake where they unintentionally gave away thousands of games before it was corrected. It happened in about a 5-minute window, is what this article I'm reading says. So a couple of people, lucky people, I guess, accidentally went to check out, and oops, I got tons of free games.
So, hey, but that shows, like, people took it, were buying games because they're interested in Linux.
If you got that many games in 5 minutes,
yeah,
and here's the coolest part. GOG emailed all the people it happened to and explained the mistake and said, you can keep them. It was a mistake on our part, but you can keep the games, which is like
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and I have to say, with some of the deep discounts that GOG will give from time to time, 75, 80%.
Yeah.
It was just like the random, unexpected 100% off sale.
Yeah, it happens.
It happens.
Yeah, the
Now,
random 100% off sale. I like that.
By the time this video is published, the sale will be over, but they were, as the rollout, doing a 75% off sale, which is why all those people, were getting those games and taking advantage of the accidental giveaway.
Yeah.
But, like you said, that shows how much of an interest in Linux gaming there is.
Right.
You look at like Humble Bundle, which is another thing, and another service where you can buy games from. If you look at the percentage-wise of how much money is done by platform,
right,
Linux is always the most. Like, more people who donate for Linux tend to donate more than Mac or Windows.
Because I think people with Linux
you
understand.
have a free because they have a free OS, they have money left over.
Oh, that's what it is.
Well, true, but I think people who are using Linux are like more core Power PC users, and I think they understand the value of $1 when it goes to an indie developer. I think they get that whole concept.
I'm a Windows Mac guy. I use Windows for gaming and Macs at home. Shoot me now.
I do too. I use both.
So I understand the power of the dollar to the developer, but I'm old and I have a wife and 3 kids and a mortgage. I don't have time to jack around with Linux gaming.
No, I totally understand. I'm just saying the reason I think that people who are using Linux donate the most is because if you're using Linux, you probably understand the value of $1.
You understand what goes into it.
Yeah, I think if you're that deep in IT stuff, you know how computers work and you understand the involvement, and you're more than willing to give a couple bucks.
And what would be an interesting dichotomy to look at, and this just came to me, is whatever the age spectrum is between the Mac and the PC and the Linux user, I would imagine that it's going to be younger people. That would be my guess. Maybe it's old guys that went to Berkeley.
Or programmers,
right.
Maybe a lot of programmers.
But so many people in the younger generation, and I'm sure I'll get flamed for this, there's so much rampant piracy, wanting stuff for free, expecting to get things for free. But you have this segment that is donating disproportionately higher. It's just an interesting take. When they see something of value, they will pay for it.
And a little bit on your comment there, I think that when I was younger, I think there were some comments in the earlier videos saying I looked really young. I'll be 31 in August.
You're still young.
So I have to make the record straight. But I think when I was younger, like 20, 21, 22, I did pirate a lot of games. And that was simply because I didn't have a lot of money at the time, and I think I was a little bit more immature in my mindset about what goes on in game development and the concept of this is a community, and we need to, if we want to support something, we need to like put our money where our mouth is. And I think as I got older and I had more funds in my wallet and I understood that community mindset a little more.
You grew up.
Yeah, I think it is a growing up thing. So it wouldn't surprise me if piracy is higher at younger age levels and then it tapers off as people get older, because I think people have access to more funds and they understand better, and things like that.
Now, see, me as someone who does use the Linux platform pretty frequently, nothing like programming or anything, just because I enjoy the platform. Whenever I see a game that does have Linux, I always put an extra buck, especially on a Humble Bundle.
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh, okay, look, they're supporting Linux. They're people that are doing games for Linux. I'm going to just give them more money because money talks in this society.
It's like Tom Cruise, help me help you.
Yeah.
You see that they're supporting you, so you want to support them.
Yes. And so I want to give that extra money to say, hey, look, there is an interest for this, and this is why there's an interest for this.
I agree. I think that's I think that's you've grown up and you understand that you need to put your money where you want the development to be done to thank these people for doing it. Mm-hmm. And so when you see a game that's made for Linux, you say, I'm voting with my wallet, so to speak, and I'm putting an extra buck.
And speaking of putting money where you want development to be, I will announce our giveaway.
Oh, there we go.
Hey, I made my own segue.
There you go. I didn't have to do it this time.
We have a giveaway for you.
So a couple of years ago, I got on a Kickstarter kick and spent way too much money on Kickstarter. Don't drink and kickstart. But no, I supported the Doublefine adventure because I grew up playing adventure games as a kid. King's Quest, Space Quest. I was more the Sierra than the LucasArts, where Tim Schafer came from. But I was glad to see him back, and I was glad to see these types of games coming back. So I kickstarted to get some of the exclusive physical items. And so the disc-based stuff is not out yet, but I have the poster, and I have the t-shirt and the sticker and the pin that came at that level that are all exclusives to the campaign. You know, even if in the future you can get the game on disc or the two-player productions behind the scenes thing on disc separately, you'll never be able to get the Doublefine Adventures poster, the Kickstarter backer t-shirt, or the sticker and the pin. So I have it, I'm not using it, it's still in the tube. So what I want to do is I want to give away those physical items in a digital copy of the game from GOG or Steam, whatever your preference is, in the comments below. Tell us what your favorite adventure game is, classic preferably, but it's not a requirement, and why. Why does that game connect with you or speak to you? Why did you enjoy it so much? And whoever gets the most upvotes, and we'll put a little bit of our own, look into the comments. We'll use those votes as a guide, but we'll pick our favorite, and then we will send those physical items to you and gift you a copy of the game.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so so once again, just so you know, we're talking about, what was it, Broken Age?
Broken Age is the game that was done. So it's Broken Age Chapter 1 is what's been released. So you'll get a digital version of that if you don't have it already. If you do, you can re-gift that to somebody. And then you'll get the poster, the t-shirt, the pin, and the sticker that all came out.
And this is for backing the game through
Right. And so talking about where putting the segue that I built that I forgot about putting the money where you wanted to see development. This was really the first big Kickstarter, I think, for game development that made people go, oh, this is going to be a viable platform.
Yeah.
Because they wanted $400,000. I think they got that in like a day or two and went on to get $3.3 million.
Wow.
And so it showed that there was a market for adventure games. And whether it was, I haven't seen any demographics, but whether it's old guys like me that played them growing up and wanted to see Tim Schafer was a star. I mean, his talent, his storytelling, his wit is, head and shoulders above virtually everybody else. But either whether it's him individually or just that style of the point-and-click adventure game that really was sort of the fruits of the first PC gaming renaissance, at least IBM PC gaming.
So what we'd like to do, have everyone do, is, like Skip said, leave a comment in our video description telling us about what your favorite adventure game is and why, and you will get a copy of this game and all the goodies that come with it. And again, I think that
we'll vote and decide on it.
Yeah, we'll vote and decide based on the feedback.
Use an upbeats, but one person will get it. I just want to.
Right.
Yeah, one person.
Sound like everyone would get it.
Right. No. So one person will get it. We're going to do a contest system here, but I do think you're right that this does speak to putting your money where your mouth is, and I think that's extremely important in the gaming industry as a whole.
Absolutely.
So if you read Reddit, there's a lot of AMA Ask Me Anythings that go on Reddit. One of the more interesting ones recently that was posted was a game designer by the name of Joseph Hewitt. He has been in the industry for 14 years, he's been in the industry since 1985. I'm sorry, including 14 years at Westwood Studios, which is the guys who did Command and Conquer.
Oh, and I love
and a ton of other stuff.
Yeah, and if you look, we'll have the link for his AMA in the comments for this video. If you look at his resume of games, it is ridiculous. It's like 2 or 3 pages.
If we
worth
scrolled
of game.
it would take a while.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous.
It's really, 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 really long.
I mean, there's things that people have heard of, Command and Conquer, some of the Dune stuff, and you're going to talk about that.
Right. Legend of Kyrandia.
Some Disney games, the infamous Lion King for SNES with the monkey swinging level. People play that
Which
game.
he apologized for.
And he apologizes for that level.
He says sorry about that. But
even a Counter-Strike add-on. Ridiculous. So he's touched everything, it seems like.
Yeah, and he's done Red Alert, Soul Survivor, Tiberian
Several
Sun.
AD&D games, Eye the Beholder.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we could go
classics.
on.
So
and
I
on
mean,
here.
he's big in our history of gaming.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
Personally, my history.
And
Yeah. So you have a story for us.
Yeah.
Right. So in this AMA, he talks about Dune 2, and I have to say, my freshman year in college, maybe my second year in college, it was my second year because my wife and I were dating at the time. Dune 2 was the thing on our floor. And to give you the quality of nerds we had when Wolfenstein was out and you could play on a token ring network.
Oh, you're talking about this.
A guy on our floor went to the Department of Housing and got permission to run Ethernet cable around the roof, the channel in the dorm,
awesome.
to run token ring Ethernet so they could play Wolfenstein and Doom. I mean, these are high quality nerds on this dorm.
Yeah, that was before multiplayer online.
Oh, before, yeah.
Yeah.
And so 8 and 16 node token ring network. So this kind of guys, when Dune 2 came out, it took over. And so, it was, you were on the spice world and you had the Atreides or Harkonnen and the Ordos and you had the Fremen and, you're harvesting your resource was the spice and you're essentially a harvester and those freaking sandworms would come up and eat you, and you would hear when somebody had a harvester eaten because they would scream out and it would echo down the hall of this cinder block and tile hall. The frustration.
High.
And I'm not sure if there was multiplayer in there. I think there was, because at one point you could get this big thing that basically a nuke that would go over, and so you could tell when somebody got nuked as well. But all that to be said, just that's the intro to the story.
Skip is very passionate.
Sorry, I love this game, and I wish I could get it to run on my system today. Actually, I don't, because it would suck up too much time. But so the developer talked about when it was in development, and I guess after that, he knew it was something special because he would take it home, and at night while his girlfriend was sleeping, he would sit in the same room and play the game while she was sleeping. And then he would stay up late doing that, and then in the morning she would get up early while he was sleeping to play. So unfortunately, or I don't know, I had a similar experience, that not with my girlfriend, now wife, but the RA on my floor, who you would not have pegged for a gamer at all. He was a jock. I think he was in a fraternity. Big, I mean, just who, when you're in college, the cool guy on campus kind of thing. Saw us playing it, fell in love with the game. And so since he was my RA, he had keys. So he would come in after I was asleep. I'd given him permission. I didn't wake up and see him sitting there. But he would come in, play the game, wearing headphones or keeping the volume down, finish and leave and relock the door because he had the keys. Or he would come in before I was asleep if I was studying or something, and he'd be playing, I'd go to sleep, and then he would leave when he was done. And there were times at 2 or 3 in the morning I'd wake up and Ed was still there. And I found him on Facebook a year or two ago, 15 years after college. I was like, hey, Ed, you remember playing this game? And he's just like, oh man, I love that game. The game... For those who played it, especially, this was the precursor to Command and Conquer. It was really the first modern RTS at all. And it hit all the right buttons, and it was simple, it was deep, with the game Reversi or Othello, a minute to play, a lifetime to master. It was a phenomenal game to play, and even people who weren't gamers could get it and got into it. And it's just so funny to me that in that AMA, he had a similar experience that I did in college.
Yeah, so that AMA is actually really long. He's got lots of other really good comments.
It's a really good read too, just to pick his brain on it.
He's got stuff about when he worked on Star Wars Galaxies and all kinds of stuff. I suggest everyone go to Reddit and check it out. We'll have a link before it in the description. And maybe in the comments you can leave your own little story like Skip did. Maybe if you had a game like Dune or another one of the games that he played, let us know like any of these old school games that you played and tell us your stories.
Thanks again for watching WSGF News.
Make sure you comment, like, subscribe to the video. Leave us comments in the section below. Check us out on Facebook. Also, you can follow us on Twitter. I am at Computer Lasco.
I am at The Destroyer FTW.
And I am at WSGF. And we'd love to see you on the forums. And if you're on a mobile or a tablet, get Tapatalk. It's much easier to browse and read and post than the whole full web browser experience. We'd love to hear what games you're playing, what games you're fixing, and what experiences you're having.
And speaking of posting, be sure you do your DRs, do your detailed reports. I promise I'm almost finished with Watch Dogs. I've just been busy. I'm going to do it. It's almost done. I have all the pictures. I just have to fill it out. Also, check us out on Saturdays, Social Saturdays. Jump on the Mumble. We'll have a link for the download below. The address for it is voice.wsgf.org, and we'll have all links there. It's free. Use it, abuse it. We can hold up to, I believe, about 100 people, so let's see if we can fill it up.
Everybody's invited.
Everyone's invited. Also, be sure you post your battle stations and your command stations. Remember, I want to do a community calendar, and let's get at least 12.
Yeah, we need your battle station.
If we have more than 12, we'll vote on it, and I will personally pay for 12 calendars for all 12 people who get in the calendar. So be sure you do that if you want to get into it.
If you watched this last week, you saw that there was a couple of people who entered. So if you want to be on the podcast,
we talk about it too. That's true.
Yeah. So thanks for being on the show, our special guest Skip.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here. And again, thank you guys for all the work you've been doing now for 18 weeks.
And thank you for watching. We'll see you next week.
See you next week, guys.